This week is National Scholastic Journalism Week, a week set aside to celebrate school newspapers, magazines, yearbooks, broadcasts, podcasts, web pages, and other publications. At Greenwood High School, we are lucky to have a broadcast, newspaper, and yearbook that regularly earns state and national awards. Did you know our newspaper has been named Hoosier Star, making it one of the #1 newspapers in the state 4 years in a row? Recently, both the yearbook and newspaper were named #1 during the same 2 years, and our broadcast was once #3 in the entire country. As we celebrate this week in our supportive administration, plus the First Amendment that makes our journalism program possible, we wanted to see where our faculty and staff get news they trust these days. The results were eye-opening.
I get my news from NPR, usually on the drive into work. I like NPR because I think it is an unbiased source. I also like to listen to the BBC because I like to get news from around the world, and I like to hear reports, news reports about things that happen in the United States from an outside perspective.
Well, I like to get my news from a variety of different sources. I like to listen to NPR when I'm in my car, National Public Radio. I like to, on social media, I really enjoy getting my news from Heather Cox Richardson. She is a political historian who puts things kind of into, uses facts and history to put things into context. And WTHR when I want to get local news.
Mr. Lineweber, and I get my reliable news from NPR.
So I get my news from, it's called 1440 Daily Digest. It's a email blast kind of news source. I trust them so far. It's fairly new, but the reporting doesn't seem to be biased, and it doesn't spend a lot of time talking about silly things that I don't care about. It's kind of really big, important ideas, and it's quick hits of news. It's more of a quick blast of information. And then if I want to learn more, there's always a link that I can follow and read a more complete story.
So the two news sources I trust are Wish TV and Indy Star. Wish TV because that's just what I watch on TV, and Indy Star is what pops up on my computer every day.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Bonham, and I usually watch NBC for my news.
I get most of my news, like global, national news, from the BBC because I like to read more of a national, outside of the United States perspective on what is going on. I also really like that there's no paywall because most of the US news websites that I've been reading for years now require a subscription or payment, and the BBC currently does not, and I think it gives an unbiased perspective on just America things and then everything that's going on internationally.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Berger and I teach AP Environmental Science. As far as news sites go, I usually get my news from AP and Reuters, and usually if I read something I check them against the other one. But I also use the Adfon's media bias chart online, especially if anyone gives me a website that I haven't seen before or a news channel I haven't used before. I check its reliability on that website and usually back up and check with another source too.
Hi, I'm Ms. Hayes, and I get my news from NPR and Ground News.
My name is Mrs. Allen, and I watch a Daily Wire.